Hi, I'm Jack Malcolm, and if you know anything about college football, you'll know what I'm referring to when I say it's all about the you. But this isn't about college football, it's about lean communication. So I want to turn that around a little bit and instead say it's all about the you. What do I mean by that? Remember that the whole purpose of lean communication is to add value while minimizing waste. And since waste is defined as anything that does not directly contribute to value, value is absolutely central to lean communication. So what is value and who gets to define it? Value in lean manufacturing is anything that the customer is willing to pay for. So the customer decides what value is. It's the same way in lean communication. Value in lean communication is anything that the customer is willing to listen to in order to make a decision or to take effective action. So if you want a certain decision, if you want the person you're communicating with to take action, then they get to define what that value is. That means that if I am talking to you, it's not about what I think is important, it's not about my reasons for doing things, it's not about the language that resonates with me. It's about what you think is important, what your thinking is, and what language resonates with you. There are 9 keys to lean communication, but this key, what I call outside-in thinking, is absolutely the master key. Because if you can provide value, then people will listen to you. And if you don't provide value, it doesn't matter how eloquent you are or how good your reasoning is, you're not going to be successful at all. So there are 2 things that I want to talk about in here today. The first one is what I call outside-in thinking. And outside-in thinking is what the psychologists call cognitive empathy. Now, we're all familiar with emotional empathy, which is feeling what the other person is feeling, and that's valuable. But if you're talking to high-level people in your own organization or maybe in a customer organization, you also have to think of cognitive empathy, which is thinking what they're thinking, saying things from their perspective so that you know what will resonate with them. So if I'm talking to you, I need to use my cognitive empathy to understand what's important to you. Now let me give you an example. Even though it's not from the world of business, I think it will resonate with you. U.S. Grant was very well known for getting inside his opponent's heads. And in 1862, when he attacked Fort Donelson, he was extremely aggressive because he knew that General John Floyd, who was commanding the defense, would have trouble with that. And in fact, he was right. John Floyd bugged out and made his subordinate, General Buckner, surrender to Grant. Buckner told Grant that if he had been in command of the fort, that Grant would not have been successful. And Grant replied that if Buckner had been in command of the fort, Grant would have taken a different approach. So outside-in thinking is about taking the right approach for the audience that you're speaking to at the time. The second point that's important about you is that it's an interesting pronoun. It works both in a singular and a plural. And you as a lean communicator should want to also be effective both in a singular and a plural. What I mean by that is, let's suppose that you're presenting to a group of 5 decision makers. When you walk into that room, each one of them is ready to listen to you from the perspective of what they care about. As they say, where you stand on an issue depends on where you sit. So they're tuning into the station that I call WIFM. What's in it for me? And you need to be able to tailor your remarks to each individual WIFM if you're going to be successful. But even if you do tailor all your remarks to the individual WIFMs, you're not going to be as successful as you could be. And the reason is 5 different perspectives generally do not overlap that well. So what you're going to end up with is a least common denominator decision to make sure that everybody gets something of what they want. So as they say, a camel is a horse designed by a committee. So if you want a horse and not a camel, what you need to appeal to is not only the individual yous or the individual WIFMs, but the collective you, or what I call the WIFU. What's in it for us? What is the higher level good, the higher level goals, and the higher level purpose that everybody in that room can get behind and can agree to? If you can master the singular you and the plural you at the same time, you will be a master communicator.